Hello, everyone. Thank you for returning to my channel. I wrote another devotion that I wanted to share with you guys today. But before I did that, I wanted to talk to you about my Holy Bible. Now, this is a New International Version Bible, and it's large text. And this is the everyday Bible that I use. I've got things highlighted in it. As you can see, there's highlighted sections of it. Not near enough because I'm still pretty new to being a devoted follower of Jesus. However, um, last year I did a program through my church called Men of Honor, and upon graduation of that program, they gave me another Bible, and it's called Every Man's Bible. And I don't use this Bible a lot because the text in it, as you can see, it's very small text, and I won't say it's hard for me to read, but here I'll give you an example of the text in my regular Bible. See, it's much larger, and it's just easier for me to read. This Bible is NLT, New Living Translation version of the Bible, but I find myself reaching for this Bible more and more every day, just to like cross reference and to understand like there's a in the beginning of every chapter it tells you, like, or in the not chapter at the beginning of every book, it gives you like who wrote it, when it was written. It has a whole bunch of extra information in it that this Bible does not have. So oftentimes, like, I'll read part of a scripture or something, or I'll read part of a book of the Bible, and I want to know more about that book, and I'll reach for this Bible to get that information. This Bible is called Every Man's Bible, and if you are in the market for a new Bible, I would definitely recommend this. If you're a man, I think they make another one for women called Every Woman's Bible. I don't know quite what the difference is between them, but this is designed for men, and I'm assuming that the women's Bible is designed for women. And I've just found it remarkable. I really love this Bible, even though I don't quite use it as much as I use my regular one. This is going to be one that I will always keep. So I just wanted to bring that up to you and let you know, like, I'm not sponsored by Every Man's Bible or anything like that. You know, I only got 30 followers or something, so like, it's not it's not something that people were paying me to say. So, but anyways, today my devotion. So the devotion that I've worked on for the last week or two has been in the book of Daniel, and I can't take credit for the message that I am going to give you out of it, because I heard, being on dialysis, I have a lot of spare time, and I wouldn't say I read a fair amount of books, but I read books. Um, I read books, maybe one book a month, sometimes two, but I still have a lot of spare time. So a lot of times I'm on Facebook, or I'm on Twitter/X. I don't really get on TikTok much anymore, but on Facebook they have videos that you can kind of scroll through, and it kind of designs the videos for you, through an algorithm. And a lot of my videos are religious based. And so I heard something it was just like a 10-second clip of this fella, and he was talking about the book of Daniel, and it inspired me so much that I wanted to do a devotion on it and share with you folks what this man was kind of saying. Now, these are all my own words. And I wish I remembered the name of that pastor that I watched, but it's just you're flipping through videos, and I wish I could give him credit, but I don't know who he was. So let's go ahead and get started on it. I've written everything down here, and it should only be maybe 10-15 minutes. It's not very long. Here we go. And I titled this, Through the Hurt. Actually, I want to get to the book of Daniel real quick. I like to open the book to the area where I'm devoting from. So like I said, I titled this Through the Hurt. And today I want to talk about the book of Daniel. Daniel was a very interesting prophet. I'm going to give a very, very short summary of the first half of this book and tell you what it means to me. I would recommend that if you've not read this book, to please read it for yourself. The summary that I offer will not mention details that are very important to the story. My summary is only to provide the information necessary to deliver what means most to me in the book, and something else may mean more to you. So there was this king many years ago. His name was King Nebuchadnezzar. And King Nebuchadnezzar besieged Israel roughly 1700 years before Jesus Christ came to earth. The Israelites had lost their homeland and became citizens of the Babylonian Empire, which ruled most of Mesopotamia at that time. King Nebuchadnezzar had his head official choose some of the best Israelites to become part of the king's palace. And this official chose Daniel, Hananiah, Meshach, and Abednego. When they were chosen, they were renamed to Babylonian names. Their new names were Belteshazzar, which was Daniel, Shadrach, which was Hananiah, Mishael, which was Meshach, and Azariah, which was Abednego. So King Nebuchadnezzar kept having these dreams, and he summoned all of his magi, his astrologers, enchanters, and sorcerers to interpret this dream for him. Not one of them could do this. They explained to King Nebuchadnezzar that it was impossible to interpret the dream, and this angered the king. In fact, it angered him so much that he ordered the death of all of his council, including the 4 Israelites that had been serving in the palace. When Daniel heard this news, that he was supposed to be killed, he prayed to the Lord and was provided the interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream. This made King Nebuchadnezzar honor Daniel with giving him a very high position in the kingdom. King Nebuchadnezzar, he worshipped gold. He made a giant image of gold to worship. I'm going to assume this image of gold was some sort of statue, but the Bible never specifically says what this image of gold was. It just says the image of gold. And then he called everyone to worship this image that he had created. When the Israelites would not worship the gold, the Israelites would not worship the gold because they only worshiped one God. And it's one of the commandments that you would not worship any idols. And so they were going they were living faithfully to their God. When the Israelites would not worship the gold, he ordered their death and was to be burned in a giant furnace that he made. For some reason, the Bible never tells us why Daniel was not part of this group of Israelites ordered into the furnace. However, the 3 remaining servants to King Nebuchadnezzar, Shadrach, which was Hananiah, Mishael, which was Meshach, and Azariah, Abednego. I keep telling you these names because it can get confusing because Like Daniel's name is Belshazzar, but the book of Daniel is Daniel. So it can get confusing. So I every time I talk about them, I try to make sure we give you both their Babylonian name and their Jewish name. The accounts that are revealed in the Bible say that they went into the furnace, and the men outside of the furnace could see 4 people inside, and they were all just standing there. And when King Nebuchadnezzar seen this, he ordered the men to come out of the furnace at once. The 3 of them walked out unscathed by the immense heat of the furnace. And this made King Nebuchadnezzar realize that these men have offered their life to God, even while being sentenced to death, and they've been saved. So he promoted these men to high positions in the kingdom like he did Daniel. Going back to Daniel, one of the theories that he wasn't there is because he was in a very high position in the kingdom and wasn't at the palace. So King Nebuchadnezzar didn't know if he was worshiping the image or not. But there's some other theories on why Daniel wasn't there. But that, to me, that's probably the most realistic one. Some things happened, and King Nebuchadnezzar kept having more dreams, and he had Daniel interpret them for him. So Daniel did this. He interpreted King Nebuchadnezzar's additional dreams. In short, King Nebuchadnezzar's reign would be cut short because of his choice to worship the image of gold and not give his life to the Lord. This prophecy in his dream came true, and his leadership was destroyed, and he was sent out and lived a desolate lifestyle until he was submitted to the Lord. Once he gave his life to the Lord God, his reign was restored, and he became a great king again. Years later, King Nebuchadnezzar's son ruled the kingdom. His name was King Belshazzar. And the first time I ever read this, I got quite confused because Daniel's Babylonian name was Belshazzar, and King Nebuchadnezzar's son was King Belshazzar. It's very, very close and can get quite confusing if you don't pay attention. But anyways, King Belshazzar had a giant banquet and used golden cups to drink from that he had taken from the palace of Jerusalem many years before. As they were in this banquet, a human hand appeared and wrote something on the wall of the palace. King Belshazzar could not interpret what this hand wrote, so he summoned all of his advisors because he could not read it. King Belshazzar worshipped gold like his father did before her, and Daniel was able to interpret the writing, which explained the error of King Belshazzar. That very night, King Belshazzar was slain while he slept, and Darius the Mede took over the kingdom. I have not done extensive research on Darius the Mede. I'm assuming that the Mede was a region that he was from. King Darius wished to appoint Daniel to ruler over the entire kingdom. King Darius was also 62 years old when he became king. And back then, 1700 years before Jesus came to earth, 62 years was a very old age. So, like I said, Darius wished to appoint Daniel to ruler over the entire kingdom, and this angered all the other advisors. They worked together to find a reason so that Daniel would not become king, not become ruler. And they wanted to punish him for the favoritism that he was given. They came up with Daniel was not a worshiper of the image of gold, and he was sentenced to death by feeding him to lions. They threw Daniel into the lion's den, and he was spared by God. The next day, King Darius called for Daniel to come out of the lion's den, and he walked out unscathed. At this point, King Darius sentenced all the men that sentenced Daniel to death. He made them go into the lion's den, and the lions tore them apart. It was pretty ruthless back in those days. But anyways, Daniel never did become the ruler of the kingdom, but he was revered and given great honor for the rest of his days in the Babylonian kingdom. The people of Babylonian loved Daniel and spoke great things of him. He prospered under both King Darius and King Cyrus, who reigned after King Darius's death. Daniel had many dreams and visions, and he shared these with people, and many of these accounts can be revealed in the last half of the book of Daniel. And I'm not going to go through all of those dreams, at least this time. Maybe another time I will. But for this time, the important part has just been spoken. Like I said in the beginning of this devotion, there is much more to this story than I have written, and I would encourage any person to read the book of Daniel for themselves. The very important parts of the story for me is how these men gave their life to not conforming to the God that man had made to worship, and they stayed true to the Lord, even through being sentenced to death. And this is where that video comes into play. God did not save Shadrach, Mishael, and Azariah, which was Hananiah, Meshach, and Abednego, from the fiery furnace. He did not save them from the fiery furnace. But God saved these men in the fiery furnace. God didn't save Daniel from the lion's den, but God saved Daniel in the lion's den. God didn't save me from kidney failure. God saved me in kidney failure. God didn't save me from divorce. God saved me in divorce. That's pretty deep. That's extremely important for me and inspiring. I would like you to interpret this to your own life. What has happened in your life that has brought you closer to God? These tragedies that happen can be the defining moment that bring us to submission. I would like to have a discussion with others that have had this experience. The people who were saved in the furnace, not from the furnace. And the people who were saved in the lion's den, not from the lion's den. I thank you for the time to listen to this or to read this, as I'll be posting this probably on my Facebook. I've also thought about getting maybe a blog account of some sort and starting to write a blog. It's crossed my mind, but I haven't made that jump yet. It's been an honor to be able to present this scripture to you, as always. I look forward to hearing from you on your thoughts. And that's my devotion on the first half of the book of Daniel. You know, tragedy should bring us closer to the Lord. When our faith is tested, that's almost a thing by design, you know, like, I know me losing my kidneys and losing my wife, you know, my wife walking away, my ex-wife walking away from me at that moment, it was It was brutal, and I sure didn't know the Lord like I know the Lord today. And boy, I wish I would have. I really wish I would have. I often talk to myself about the regrets that I have, and like, if I was a man of God back then, I can't be certain, but I have a feeling that I wouldn't have gotten divorced. I think that if me and my ex-wife both would have been more dedicated to God, then things would be a lot different. But I can't look back. I can't dwell on that. Although for a good while, when after it happened, I surely did. Um, I felt so awful, just absolutely crushed in every sense of the word that you can define it as. And people seeing this, there's people out there that do love me, and even though at that time I felt like nobody loved me, there were people praying for me. There were people, um, there were people coming to my house and just visiting with me and just talking to me. And I look back on that, and I was such a mess that I didn't appreciate it near as much as I should have. And I would like to go back, but like I said, I can't dwell on that. We can only move forward through that tragedy. And now I'm trying my best to be a man of God, and I've graduated from this Men of Honor program that gave me this Bible. And look, it's given me this shirt, Men of Honor 2023. And I feel so close, so much closer to God and so much closer to the Lord that I've seen the error in my youth. And the best thing that I can hope for now is that I can teach my son that when that tragedy happens, that our faith must be strong. And I hope that I can get him to love the Lord like I do. That's one of my major goals in life. But anyways, that's enough rambling. I thank you again for listening to me, and I'll see you next time. Stop.